Welcome back. Today's true crime case is coming from my own country, Ghana, in West Africa, where it's been reported that a 25-year-old national service person called Jesper Kobina Mensah has allegedly been arrested for stealing 303,950 Ghana cedis from the account of one of the banks in Ghana and using it to invest in cryptocurrency. Now, this story is quite interesting, and I'm deciding to not mention the name of the bank yet because investigations are still ongoing, and I think that for reasons of people getting the wrong impression about this bank because they don't yet know the full story, I'll leave out the name of the bank for now out of respect for their brand. I think that is fair. Now, the theft reportedly came to light after the account holder of a Ghanaian living in South Africa reported unauthorized electronic transfers totaling this same amount of 303,000 Ghana cedis. If you are not familiar with the Ghana cedi currency, that is our currency here in Ghana, but if you convert it to US dollars, it's around 25,000 US dollars. Yeah. And investigations will then reveal that the funds had been moved into various MTN mobile money accounts, which included 3 accounts which were registered to individuals allegedly called Abraham Seidu, Stephen Eshon, and Fatah Suli. Now, with suspect Fatah Suli as a recipient of some of the stolen funds, it was noticed that he is a Binance merchant who trades in USDT. And when he was apprehended, he admitted to receiving the money through mobile money for cryptocurrency transactions, but then he also insisted he only acted as a middleman. Police then traced and arrested Jesper Kobina at his hideout in Nungwa in Accra, where a search on him would actually uncover numerous devices linked to digital fraud, which includes mobile phones, 2 laptops, 108 registered SIM cards, 27 empty Telecel SIM cards, 72 registered MTN SIM cards, 88 unregistered MTN SIM packs, and other related items. In his confession, Jesper Kobina admitted to using 2 of the mobile numbers tied to the transactions and acknowledged receiving the stolen funds. However, Jesper indicated that he is not the mastermind of this crime, but that some unidentified Chinese nationals instructed him to convert the money into USDT and send it through Binance. Interesting, right? Yeah. Now we are going to get into the details and break things down. Because when this news broke, I saw people come online and leave comments and talk about the fact that what was the bank doing? How is this guy able to commit this fraud? Is he a bank staff? The bank staff are stealing money themselves. Everybody is putting out an opinion, and sometimes you realize some of the opinions are so far off from the main possible issues, and it's because they really don't know much about some of these things. But first of all, let's start with the reporting and the details of it. It says here that Jesper Kobina Mensah was arrested for stealing 303,950 Ghana cedis. That's about the equivalent of about 25,000 US dollars, estimatedly. So first thing, somebody was like, if he stole all this money, he should have left the country so they don't catch him. Now the thing is, when it comes to crimes like this, you will see the total amount like this being equivalent to almost 25,000 US dollars. But it doesn't mean he stole it at a go. most often than not, when you go deeper into the investigation, you realize that this is the sum of everything he stole over time. So he may have stole 1,000 cedis, 1,500, 200, 100 cedis, $20, $50, $100, $70. He tries to steal it as seemingly undetected as possible so that it doesn't raise eyebrows on the account of the person he's stealing it from. Because imagine you have an account where you have large sums coming in. If for some reason somebody has gotten access to steal and is stealing $10 from an account which is, for example, receiving about $80,000 to $100,000 every month, how are you going to notice? Unless you sit down and vet your statement and your balance, or you have an alert or a prompt that notifies you when such transactions are leaving. And most often, some of these people look out for customers who may not necessarily have that time and that attention to be checking some of these things. So that is the first bit I want to shed more light on. It's not like he stole this amount at a go, boom, and he chose to sit around. Well, if he did, well, I'm sure he'll have other questions to answer in regards to that. But mostly, this is the amount he stole as an accumulated sum over time. The next bit is the 3 people who were arrested as being his accomplices. One of them is called Fatah Osuli, the other is called Steve Deshon, and another is called Abraham Seidu. Now, for Fatah Osuli, he is a Binance merchant and he trades in USDT. And after having admit to receiving the money through mobile money for cryptocurrency transactions, he would go on to insist that, yeah, he received the money, but he only acted as a middleman. Now the question is, what was the nature of him as a middleman regards to receiving the stolen funds? And this is my opinion here. If it turns out that it's established that he actually knew the funds were stolen, then he is equally liable. In fact, if it turns out that he is part of the whole ring or the whole conspiracy to steal before even the stealing itself happened, then he is liable for this offense in every way. In every way. He'll be liable for conspiracy to steal and also receiving the stolen money. That he has appropriated something which was stolen and he took it and facilitated it, amongst other things. So some of these things is not just about saying, oh yeah, me, I'm a middleman, I deal in cryptocurrency and I received it. Under what circumstances did you receive it? In fact, did you even know that the funds were stolen? And I know the police will be digging into all these things because they would have to establish that you are not an accomplice and that you are some innocent third-party cryptocurrency trader who was just given money by somebody to use for a cryptocurrency transaction without necessarily knowing it was stolen. And that is something that wouldn't be easy to escape, because the police in these times in Ghana, I tell you, they are one of the best on this continent. And then, moving on also to the other key points in this, the police traced and arrested Jesper Kobina Mensah at his hideout in Lungwa. And when they searched him, these are the things that they uncovered: mobile phones, 2 laptops, 108 registered SIM cards, 27 empty Telecel SIM packs. Now, when we say empty Telecel SIM packs, Telecel is one of the telecommunication companies here in Ghana. And when we say empty, it means that the SIM packs are there, but they have not been registered in anybody's name. They also found 72 registered MTN SIM cards. MTN is the biggest telecommunication company in Ghana. And then they also found 88 empty MTN SIM packs, amongst other items. So all in all, you have 108 registered SIM cards, where there are also 27 unregistered Telecel SIM packs and 72 registered MTN SIM cards and 88 unregistered MTN SIM cards. It's looking like these guys were onto something, that Jesper Kobina Mensah probably was committing this fraud as a result of possibly SIM swapping. I don't know, but there's that possibility, because looking at these unregistered SIM cards and the number of registered ones also found in his possession, and the fact that these were split between the biggest network, telecommunication network in Ghana, and arguably the second in line after that one, it seems to me like he may probably have been doing SIM card fraud and leveraging on the fact that some of those numbers swapped may possibly be tied to bank accounts. But before I get into that possibility, let me just highlight on how he also got these things, because that is a very serious question we will have to appreciate. How did he get into the possession of all these SIM cards, whether they are registered or unregistered? Because if it's suspected, or if it's a possibility that he's using SIM card fraud or SIM card swap to commit this fraud, then how did he in himself, as a 25-year-old national service person, get into possession of all these number of SIM cards, whether they are registered or not? Is it likely that someone in these telecommunication companies was actually helping him acquire the SIM cards? Because registering a SIM card here in Ghana is not an easy thing. You have to have your Ghana card and everything. The Ghana card is linked to your biometrics and everything. Even getting the card in itself. How did he get all these cards? And how did he register them? These are key questions I know the police probably will be looking into to find answers on, because some of these things begin to shed light on other things. And I wouldn't be surprised that the findings from the thorough investigation on this might span beyond the actual crime we are looking at, where he has stolen money from someone's account in one of the banks in Ghana. Because if it turns out they are swapping SIM cards to commit this fraud, then anything that SIM card or that number on the SIM card is tied to, they may be able to get access and steal money from it, which could include a mobile money wallet if it has enough money. And if you are here in Ghana, you bear with me that sometimes people are able to call you and they try to impersonate being staff of some telecommunication companies and talk to you about the money on your mobile money wallet, and they are able to speak to it to the last letter, including tell you the specific amount you have on your mobile money wallet, which is supposed to be private and only known by you and the telecommunications company. So it tells you that there's a third element where possibly some people are aiding and abetting some of these people. Because how would a 25-year-old national service person get access to all these things? And then we move on to the possible modus operandi. Somebody was asking, is this guy a national service person at the bank where this incident happened, or he's a random person? The report didn't say whether he's a staff of that bank or not. But with my little knowledge in controls being adopted by most banks here in Ghana, I would anticipate and suspect that Jesper Kobina Mensah may not be a staff of this bank. I think it's more likely that he's not a staff, but he probably, I suspect, was resorting to SIM card fraud and gained access to somebody's account as a result. Because if he's a staff of the bank, there will be controls in place that wouldn't make it possible or arguably easy for him to commit such a crime. Exactly my point. In case you don't know who a national service person is, Let me just explain. As used here in Ghana, a national service person is someone who has completed his university education and has to undergo the compulsory national service work for a year. So the national service work basically means that you would have to serve the country for 1 year in different capacities after you are done with your tertiary education. One of the ways in doing that is to work at companies. So it's sort of a prolonged attachment, if you should put it that way. And you are paid a commission or an allowance for that. Now, how would somebody like that, even if he was working in a bank, be in a position to have access to people's accounts and steal this huge sum over time? I'm thinking that he wasn't within the bank and he did this from wherever he was using the SIM card fraud. But then, I could be wrong. Yeah. So I'm following this case and looking forward to updates on it. But I tell you, more and more, it's becoming very clear that fraud is on the rise. I've always insisted that it's very important we understand and appreciate how people make their money and ascertain whether it's legitimate before you start thinking that you are worse off or your God has abandoned you. Because imagine, he's 25 years old. Look at the amount he is reportedly alleged to have stolen. Because if he had not been caught at the age of 25 having this amount and committing these crimes, I'm sure he wouldn't have stopped. Next thing you know, this guy will be riding around in a Rolls Royce, a Lamborghini, sitting on social media, posting motivational messages, putting up a front, opening shell companies to hide the source of his funds, and making legitimate, hard-working people trying to make a legal earning feel like they are useless or worthless or that their God has abandoned them. This is the menace to society we are facing in these days, especially with the advent of social media. I respect the fact that the police decided not to show his face because in the eyes of the law, he is still presumed innocent until found guilty by a competent of law with competent jurisdiction. But, like I said, all that glitters is not gold. At this point, if you are watching this video, just take your time and check if you've subscribed, because I noticed that a huge percentage of my viewers have actually not subscribed to my channel, and it's hurting my channel so much. Please do me that favor. Subscribe and share this video. This could be a lesson to the younger ones coming, a lesson to ourselves, a lesson to our loved ones, because sometimes these people who get caught up in these things, young as they are, did not get somebody to draw their attention to the possible risks and repercussions of their actions. This guy is 25 years old. I'm sure that if he had somebody in his corner who could speak sense to him growing up, show him evidence of how people have started certain things and where it ended them, he will probably have thought twice before doing this. But here we are. May this not be us or any of our loved ones. Keep your head on a swivel. Stay safe. If it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, and walks like a duck, then you know it's a duck. Don't second guess. Look at what you are facing. Advise yourself. Stay safe. Stay protected. And I'll catch you on the next one.